Matthew 2. Woohoo! We're really rolling. I'd like to tell a little story before I get started about an attitude. One of my favorite stories. I'd had a bad day one time and I was pumping gas at a gas station. And woe was me, and money's hard, and trials were hard. And as I was pumping my gas there, a group of children pulled up. And there's a group of blind children. And as they walked out there, and they come back with bags of candy and sodas, and they were so happy and so joyful, it just made me change my whole attitude. When I seen the plight of others, then I realized that how truly blessed I was. I had the same problems. I had the same trials. But when my attitude changed and I realized how truly blessed I am, then I was happy again. And I'm happy to be studying the Bible with you, friends and children and family, and really thankful that I can do this. I'm sorry I'm not much of a teacher, but we'll do the best that we can from our studies. And we'll start off in Matthew 2. Now when Jesus was born in Bethlehem of Judea in the days of Herod the king, behold, there came wise men from the east to Jerusalem. And we find over there in Luke 2, while they were in Bethlehem, they were to be taxed. And this Bethlehem is a little bit southeast of Jerusalem. So we've skipped through a lot of the parts that were well known, the swaddling clothes that he was wrapped in, the birth in the manger, and the shepherds. Luke 2 and 4. And Joseph also went up from Galilee out of the city of Nazareth into Judea into the city of David, which is called Bethlehem. Now Herod the king, as we're going to study him, we find that his, well, I believe, was Herod the Great, a family that was to rule over the Jerusalem in the times of Jesus. And he was a ruthless man, as we will find out. As you look in history, many other ruthless deeds that this man did. The wise men came from the east to Jerusalem. This word means the Magi, perhaps Oriental seekers, but I guess really who cares? Wise men seek Jesus, so we don't care who they are. Possibly astrologers, because they were looking up into the sky, and they wanted to see this Jesus, this Messiah. In verse 2, saying, "Where is he that is born King of the Jews? We have seen his star in the east, and are come to worship him." It was well known that the Messiah was coming. We see this by scriptures of people that were waiting for his coming. In Luke 2 and verse 25 it says this, "And behold, there was a man in Jerusalem, whose name was Simeon. And the same man was just and devout, waiting for the consolation of Israel, and the Holy Ghost was upon him. And it was revealed unto him by the Holy Ghost that he should not see death before he had seen the Lord's Christ." So there were people that were aware that the Lord's Christ was going to be coming up in their lifetime. So perhaps the news had got around and people were starting to look for him. To worship means to adore, to pay homage, to crouch, to bend low to. So they wanted to show their adoration for this new and to see this new Messiah. Now when Herod the king had heard these things, so I guess the news getting up there to the palace or wherever Herod stayed in his luxury place, he started to hear these things. It says he was troubled. I can understand being troubled. This King of the Jews, this new Messiah, they didn't realize the spiritual kingdom that was going to be set up. They thought it was going to be a kingdom where they were going to take it over and be born up a mighty king who was going to take up the sword and was going to lead them away. So I can understand Herod being troubled by these things. And it says, "and all Jerusalem with him." That kind of befuddles me. Why was all Jerusalem upset with him? Maybe they didn't want anybody rocking the boat. Maybe they didn't want their sons to be drafted to go off into the army. Maybe all the high-ups that were fed by the king were thinking their gravy train was about to be done. Excuse me. But anyway, it was quite the uproar. "And when he, being Herod, had gathered all," in verse 4, "the chief priests and scribes of the people together, he demanded of them where Christ should be born." So you got to give Herod an A for getting on it. He was troubled in his spirit. And he called all the top brass, all the smart people today. He said, "Hey, where is this Christ going to be born? Where is this Messiah going to be born?" And the verse 5, and they said unto him, in Bethlehem of Judea, for thus it is written by the prophets, and now Bethlehem in the land of Judah art not the least among the princes of Judah, for out of thee shall come a governor that shall rule my people Israel. Well, you got to give him an A for knowing the answer. Somebody had looked in the book. Somebody had to understand. You know, you got to look in the book to find the facts. And this was a quote taken from Micah 5 and 2. But thou, Bethlehem, Ephratah, though thou be little among the thousands of Judah, yet out of thee shall come forth unto me, that is to be a ruler in Israel, whose goings forth have been from of old, from everlasting. Talking about the eternalness of Jesus, about how he was there in the beginning and how he was, but that he was going to be brought forth in this little town of Bethlehem. And then Herod, when he had in private, he called the wise men, he inquired of them diligently what time the star appeared. Hey, what time is this? What time is this happening? Diligently. He just questioned them and was right on top. What time? What day? What month? When is this star? When is this being shown? So he's really getting busy on this thing, going to find out who this is and what this is all about, this trouble in his kingdom. And he sent them to Bethlehem and said, go and search diligently for the young child. And when you have found him, bring me word again that I may come and worship him also. So he sends these magi, these wise men from the east to go find him, this young king. Perhaps he thought the wise men here wouldn't think about his nasty plot. I like to think about the lies that this guy told. You know, that's the tools of Satan, his lies and his workers. We need to be truthful in our dealings. We need to be not like Herod and be deceitful in our doings. He didn't want to worship him. He wanted to kill him. And in verse 9, when they had heard the king, they departed. And lo, the star which they saw in the east went before them till it came and stood over where the young child was. Well, sure enough, I would just like to see that, how far it was off in the horizon, how it traveled, how they knew to do this. Just these guys must have been pretty wise, or else it was very easy to follow. But that would have been really glorious to see with our own two eyes. But we see it by faith and we believe it. I'd also like to point out that God has a way to show us to his Son. God is in control. He made it where we have a Bible, where we have faith, where we have conscience. We have all these things that we can find Jesus and know who he is. We just got to do like the wise men. We just have to follow it. Listen to it. Wise men will always seek Jesus and find him. If you want to find him, you can find him. A wise man will seek him out and see what he needs. And a foolish man will not. They followed him. No unbelief on their part. They followed that star just in all faith, knowing that it was going to lead them to this young child. Verse 10. When they saw the star, they rejoiced with exceeding great joy. Their journey, no telling how far they had come. But their journey was fruitful. They were just about to reach their destination and were about to see the King, the Son of God, about to see the Messiah. The words of God were paying off. These were very wise men indeed. And when they were come to the house, in verse 11, they saw the young child. You know, sometimes they have the picture of the wise men and they're visiting the little baby, but according to these scriptures here, that's not quite that way. They went and there was a young child with Mary his mother, and fell down and worshipped him. And when they had opened their treasures, they presented unto him gifts, gold, and frankincense, and myrrh. So they brought some of the best that they have. They fell down before this little child, and they showed deference unto him. I like to think when I see Jesus that I'll fall down too. I won't know what to say. I just want to show my love for him. And being warned of God in a dream that they should not return to Herod, they departed into their own country another way. Well, they scattered on home by a different way than by Jerusalem. God was in control. God showed these folks mercy by not sending back through Herod and by not pointing out to where his son would be. Even though Herod was all powerful, he was up against somebody that was much more powerful than himself. God had control of all these situations, showing us the greatness of God over even the mighty king. And when they were departed, behold, the angel of the Lord appeared unto Joseph in a dream, saying, Arise and take the young child and his mother, and flee into Egypt, and be there until I bring thee word, for Herod will seek the young child to destroy him. So God knew what was going on in Herod's evil mind. And he said, Joseph, I want you to get up, and I want you to go down to Egypt, and I want you to flee here. So, like a bunch of refugees, it says in the night, they take the young child, and they get up, and they start heading south down to the land of Egypt. When he arose, in verse 14, he took the young child and his mother by night and departed unto Egypt. I just like Joseph. It seemed like when the Lord just told him it's okay to take him to you, marry your wife, he did. He was just full of faith and full of obedience. I wish I could be more like him. I wish I could have an attitude of him when the Lord tells me to do something or to fulfill something, that I will go do it. Kind of like Abraham, when the Lord told him, you get you out of your country. You know what? He just got up and left. And this is the way he did. Full of faith, coupled with obedience. Obedience showed how faithful he was. Joseph and Abraham, and hopefully us, and hopefully you. Another reason for the prophecy, for the flight, was to fulfill a prophecy. And was there until the death of Herod, that it might be fulfilled which was spoken of the Lord by the prophet, saying, Out of Egypt I have called my son. Every little detail worked out till its perfection. He's going to call his son out of Egypt. He's going to be born in Bethlehem. And we'll find later he's going to be called Nazareth. And he was making sure that everything was in line from exactly what he had told his prophets before that was going to happen. And he was going to make sure that it happened. Then Herod, when he saw that he was mocked of the wise men, was exceeding wroth. So he found out that they had really just mocked him. And he was mad. And you know what he did? He sent forth and he slew all the children that were in Bethlehem, and all the coast thereof, from 2 years old and under, according to the time which he had diligently inquired of the wise men. So another telling us that this wasn't a baby, but this was probably 2 years and younger by what he diligently sought. What a bloodthirsty person this Herod was. You know, we study about Herod and look up in history that said he killed many of his own family. I looked up also that they said this might not be as many children as you might would first think. You know, but that really shouldn't matter. I tell you what, if it's your child is getting killed by a jealous king, it's a big thing. And you're wailing, it rises up to God. And it's sad. So whether it's 5, 10, 20, or whether it's 500 children, any of them is too much for nothing. Just because he wanted to kill him and worship him indeed. He didn't want to worship him, he wanted to kill. But he couldn't touch the Lord's Messiah. Then was fulfilled that which was spoken by Jeremy the prophet, saying, In Ramah there was a voice heard, lamentation and weeping and great mourning, Rachel weeping for her children, and would not be comforted, because they are not. Jeremiah 31 and verse 15, it says the same thing. Thus saith the Lord, a voice was heard in Ramah, a lamentation and bitter weeping. Rachel weeping for her children, refused to be comforted for her children, because they were not. The sadness and the gut-wrenching despair that these folks had, just over jealousy, just over a jealous king, worried about his throne. I bet you they wouldn't be comforted. The heart goes out to those poor moms and dads back in that day. And it was another fulfillment of the prophecy that was spoken. Another confirmation of God's greatness. Verse 19, But when Herod was dead, excuse me, I have to give me a little drink here. Last time I didn't give me a drink and I ended up coughing all over myself. Verse 19, But when Herod was dead, behold, an angel of the Lord appeared in a dream to Joseph in Egypt. So he went the way of all the earth, and he died, and whoa, I would want to meet the Lord, having done what this man had done, and killing all these babies, and the history that he had had. Oh, the judgment would be terrible, terrible. Saying, verse 20, God's saying to him, arise and take the young child and his mother and go into the land of Israel, for they are dead which sought the young child's life. So they're dead. Come on back. The killers are gone. And he arose and took the young child and his mother and came into the land of Israel. More obedience by Joseph. More obedience by Joseph indeed. But when he heard that Archelaus did reign in Judea in the room of his father Herod, he was afraid to go thither, notwithstanding being warned of God in a dream. He turned aside into the parts of Galilee. Boy, he's thinking the son of this killer Herod, who killed all those little ones, was going to kill my little one. And then come to find out in history that Archelaus was playing nasty too. He supposedly killed many people for just little or no reason. So he goes up a little farther north, up into Galilee, being warned of God. And he came and dwelt in a city called Nazareth, that it might be fulfilled which is spoken by the prophets. He shall be called a Nazarene. So Nazareth was to be the childhood home of Jesus, where he would stay, and we find he would be in subjection to his mother and father, and be what I know would be an excellent child. I would also like to point out that it says he would be a Nazarene, which is really not to be confused with the Nazarite. One word would mean an inhabitant of Nazareth, and the other means set apart, as a vine dressed, or to be unshaven. It is something they used to vow back underneath the old law, and that they would fulfill it. So he wasn't a Nazarite necessarily in that, but he was from the city of Nazareth. I'd like to end up with one little point that I think bears thinking about. Is the most powerful man in the world was nothing when he tried to stand against God. Those who listen to God, those who do God's will, those who protect Jesus in their heart, those who take Jesus unto themselves, God will take care of them, and nobody can hurt you. I hope this has been a blessing to you, and thank you.